what is a conservative? A conservative is somebody who wants a certain form of society but is unwilling to do what it takes to get it. Because let's take something like the immigration issue. If you're serious, we all know where the numbers are going. We all know what this country is going to look like demographically in a very short time. We're talking like a decade where it just becomes completely unrecognizable. And most of the issues we're talking about become completely meaningless. If you're serious about getting the country back to where it needs to be, just to be considered a country, not even a great country, but just a somewhat coherent country capable of self-government, you got to deport like tens of millions of people. Does anybody think that the willpower is there to do that? Now, some would say that there is, and certainly some measures are underway, which are definitely promising. And you can come up with little scenarios. Well, maybe if this happens, we can do it this way. If they get rid of birthright citizenship, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's possible. The court may rule that. That by itself would make a huge difference. But you're still just slowing down the decline. What you would actually have to do is you'd have to break a lot of the near sacred constitutional guarantees that we've invented for ourselves. Something like stripping the citizenship of people and getting rid of them, even though they were born in this country and are therefore Americans. You have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to deport entire communities of people, and you have to be willing to tell the NGO heads and the reporters, and by the way, the pastors and priests and rabbis and imams, that if you don't like it, you're going to. And by the way, we're going to go Henry VIII on all your stuff. If you're not willing to do those things, then you're essentially just negotiating the terms of your surrender. And that's where we're at right now. It's easier to do big things than to do small things. Like it would, in a weird way, not that it's possible, not that I'm necessarily suggesting this, although I kind of am, like it would actually be easier and more politically feasible for Trump to literally say, screw it, I am now emperor, than it would be to try to pass legislation to solve these problems. We're in a situation now where the scope of individual action seems so limited, and the role of personality is so curtailed. And the only thing that does give me hope, but also gives me a certain amount of dread, is you have to look to history when these sorts of extraordinary personalities emerge. They don't emerge in normal times. But we have to start thinking about what it means to get a sense of racial identity in young white people today, and how we can turn that into meaningful political action. Because if we don't do that, I think people really underestimate how late the hour is and how strong the anti-white resentment is. And I do think that the resentment is fundamentally rooted in race rather than Christianity or capitalism or anything like that. It doesn't matter what you or I think about it. It matters what they think about it, because there's a lot of them and they have more power than we do, and they're going to be coming for all of us. And white identity, I think, is sort of the necessary shield that we all need to prevent disaster. And so building that in the real world is basically going to be the purpose of my life going forward.